Hello guys, my name is Kiminek and welcome to another episode of For Dummies. Today featuring the Strv, I don't know. Streetwang? Alright, guess it can be used that way. Anyway, after about 1.5 hours of googling, I found out that this thing is probably as fake as a Kim Kardashian's ass. Well, not that fake. If it was, the entire tank tree would be just made up of straight up fake tanks, if you know what I mean. Jesus fucking hell, how can somebody even like this? It is so freaking plastic that once it dies, putting it in a coffin would be a waste of freaking money and nature. It should go to a fucking recyclation plant straight away. Anyway, you probably understand my point by this time. This thing has pretty much no background at all, apart from the fact that it was a prototype, and a really minor one while we are at that. The S2 was much more important prototype. However, there is some info about it, or more precisely all S-Tanks. This thing is after all one of the S-Tanks. In fact, it is the first S-Tank prototype, hence the S1 calling. Anyways, after World War II, the Swedes had only one quote-unquote real main battle tank, that being the Centurion, and having only a single tank in the military is most certainly not a good thing, especially if your phone is known for its election hacking skills. They would simply build a counter tank, and since England was using the Centurions as well, they would take down 2 cocks with 1 stone. Is that how it is said? Long story short, Swedes had to build a second main battle tank, and best would be if it was a defensive one, since the Swedes are kinda happy where they are. I do not have a single freaking clue how they can like it over there in the north. Anyways, the result was this monstrosity, the only tank since the end of World War II to dispense a turret. I'll get to whereabouts of why it doesn't feature a turret later on. But despite its rather ridiculous look, the S-Tanks were designed to protect the Swedish borderline and coast. They were in fact perfect at doing so. But this was originally supposed to be a guide, wasn't it? So let's get to it. Maybe. By the way, I tried playing Hearthstone and...
Book Smoke!
And I must say that the Polish people in this game are fucking amazing, like really. That isn't the only time he did that. I fucking love him. Back to the quote-unquote guide now. The Streetwang is considered a TD, so it is rather obviously supposed to be camping, while supporting its team with its high damage output. Yeah, supporting. However, if you still insist on playing this tank like a tortoise, I highly recommend you to take a close look at its armor. Seriously, driving out of your cover while playing the Streetwang is seriously like wearing a freaking red shirt in Star Trek. You don't wanna do it, under any circumstances. Just no. Anything with higher than 90 caliber gun will overmatch the wall of your frontal armor. It's like anything medium and heavier. Apart from probably Caravan, because fuck that shit ass tank. By the way, I'm kind of surprised by seeing that Wargaming put a 30mm of armor as the quote-unquote frontal armor instead of this tiny little 45mm just to fuck with the newbies. I'd do that personally. Secondarily, this thing has rather high mobility. Just kidding, it sucks. In fact, it got ninja nerfed some time ago if I'm not mistaken. This thing might have a top speed of 50 km per hour, but reaching it is more of a challenge than something you can truly rely on happening throughout the game. Why? Well, the horsepower to ton ratio ain't all that bad. The real problem is this. I don't know what the Swedes are even using to fluid up their tracks, but judging by these numbers, they must be using honey or some shit. I don't know, I don't care, but this thing is slugging around the battlefield even while being just 30 tons heavy. That's just sad. That's
disgusting!
But you can get to your favorite camping spot with it, and that's all that really matters. And lastly, the gun. It's rather obvious that a TD, a tank destroyer, is going to have a good gun, and in this case, it's indeed correct. Well, as long as you are willing to press that X button, lift your ass up and be like zoop. Fun fact, that zoop was exactly as long as the aiming time of this tank while in the siege mode. Using the siege mode, you become the second most accurate tier 8 tank, right behind your brother, the UDES-03, which is basically the same exact tank as you, minus the left butt cheek and the autism of Wargaming, which made this tank useless. But the accuracy is not all that matters, cause it doesn't fucking work. At least not in my case. I bought this tank and I can confirm that it was the biggest waste of money, like ever. I'm literally unluckiest as one player in the world. You saw that shot, it was fully aimed and it missed. And it wasn't the only one, like look at this, or this one. Sometimes I had troubles even meeting a single opponent throughout the entire match, but well, that's kinda common with the TVs. But now back to the gun. The accuracy isn't all it really has. It has a great shell velocity as well and a pretty great DPM. Oh, and most primarily the 288 penetration. I'm in love. Like, I get that most people are satisfied when they get that amazing potato penetration while playing the KV2, but for me, the true satisfaction lies within the 100% hit accuracy ratio. I'm fucking wet from playing a tank that doesn't ask for permission of whether or not you want it. But now let's move to the crucial, which are rather simple to explain with only one single word: camouflage. There's nothing else you need on this thing, really. So we start with it, obviously. After you got 100%, you draw for 6 cents, and that's about it. Maybe even situational awareness, since the view range of this tank is a complete utter garbage. Afterwards, you rejoin training camo on everything you can, but fill the rest of the free spots with repairs. Surprisingly enough, despite this thing having absolutely zero armor, repairs are really important for it. Why? Your gun, or gun arc to be more precise, since you got absolutely none. Once you are detrained, you cannot shoot at all, as your gun is stuck in a single spot, unable to move. I've seen many people taking double repair kits just for this simple reason. So yeah, you take repairs. And lastly, you finish up with brothers in arms, as on every single tank. Some other skills you might mix up to the bunch are recon, off-road driving, and the much needed clutch braking, but I would recommend to take those as your fourth skills rather than your second skills or something like that. Next up, what equipment do you take into this thing? Well, you obviously take the gun rammer as on every single tank. There's no question about whether or not you want it, you just want it. But the other ones, what do you take? Yep, it was quite obvious. Since turning off this tank doesn't remove the binos and camo net, you want them. Like a goddamn wallet and iron while being a gypsy. You will take them. It just has to become your instinct. It's in your genes. You have to do it. But now, how do you actually play this thing? Because, you know, this was after all a guide about how to play this thing and I haven't done it yet. Well, the truth is, you don't. You don't fucking buy it. You see this number? It's more like this. 30 euros for that shit? Just kidding. You play something similar to the rest of the camp. I meant tank destroyers. Once the battle starts, you will enter the most thrilling, blood pressure rising part of the game, the battle for camping spots. But yeah, the spots you might usually want are very limited and the demand for them is really freaking high. Wargaming actually wanted to remove some camping from this game and removed a lot of bushes that were very good for camping. And no, I'm not even kidding with that. So we got a very limited amount of spots, which is even more restricted by the fact that you cannot even show the slightest bit of your armor, because once you do, you just die. Long story short, you get like 5 truly efficient spots in the entire game. A couple of examples are gonna be this one on the China snow map. You know which one I'm talking about. This one on the Malinov. Alright, I'll take it. On Malinovka pretty much everywhere you go as a camping spot. And lastly, this one on airfield. You know what, pretty much every single regular TD spot that has a bush in front of it. Because, yeah, I would honestly spend hours talking about which ones are good for you, so let me kinda skip to the part where I'm actually explaining about how to find those spots yourself without any need of my help. First priority is gonna be range. You never want to be close to the front line. What if a random light's gonna cruise around the hill and spot you? You're dead. So the best counter to that is simply not even letting them do that by staying out of their spotting range. Remember, you cannot hide behind rocks as your armor cannot hold anything at all. One fucking shell from the ISU 152 and your frontal plate is gonna roll up like a can of sardines. You want that? Maybe, but I dislike that smelly smell. So no, just don't even think of that. Secondarily, shoot. Don't even worry about missing at all, not penetrating or anything. That's one thing I learned of playing this thing. If you care too much about hitting your shells, you won't hit a thing. Trust me. By the way, the most major mistake I was doing while playing this thing was overdoing it with the pre-aiming thingy. You see, this thing has 1450 meters per second shell velocity. Wait, 1450? Yes, 14 freaking 50. Your shell will land in an instant of you clicking the left mouse button. Seriously, pre-aiming that you might be used from playing other tanks is harming you much more than actually snapping at everything you see. See this? Snap shit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you get a siege mode. Wait, did I actually forget to mention it? Did I mention it? I can't even remember by now. Damn it, I'm fucking bad. Well, let's skip that. The siege mode simply allows you to zoop your ass up to the skies or drop it down low like a flat ass bitch you are. You can use this to work ridge lines really freaking well. Wait, didn't I just say that your armor is completely worthless? Well, yeah, but if you find a nice camping spot far away from the battlefield, you will hide the lower part of your hull and decrease the chance of you ever getting hit at all. By the way, while we are talking about the art of avoiding the enemy shots, I should point out one thing. This tank is a lot smaller than a lot of people expect it to actually be. These blue things on sides, which make up nearly half the tank's front, are completely empty. So if an enemy shoots at them, the shell will be absorbed and the enemy will get only one thing from it. That annoying message saying critical hit. And the best thing about it, there's seemingly no module in it, as if it would be in other tanks. So we won't get ammo wrecked thanks to me saying it is safe. I hope. Another tip is gonna be using bizarre camping spots. You see, there's a plentiful of different spots that allow you to shoot over a large portion, if not the entirety of a map. But you need a lot of one thing to reach them. Speed, which you don't really have. So what now? Well, there's one other option, random hills and bumps. These still allow you to shoot over a sizable portion of a map with only one single downside. The enemies which you can shoot at are the exact same enemy that can shoot back at you. So as long as you see an enemy, they will most likely be capable of shooting at you. However, that would apply onto you only under one occasion. That being you not playing a Swedish tank. Why? Camo. This tank has a literal bush glued onto the front of it. You can get on a hill with absolutely zero cover, such as this guy in a replay running on the background right now, and still be capable of staying hidden. That's pretty broken, wouldn't you just say? But now to the last and most important tip about this tank. Play the fucking USO free instead of the strudel. Anyways, this is gonna be the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like. If you did not, please give it a dislike. And mainly, sorry about the fact that there was such a long pause between these bigger videos of mine. There was like a 3-week long pause. That's absolutely insane. I haven't done such a long pause in between big videos since I was basically starting this channel. But yeah, I got kind of a valid reason for that, and this chain of unfortunate events, such as my OBS just refusing to work, my microphone just completely giving up. Then I've had a problem with my voice for like 2 weeks straight because I've been ill, and then I don't know what the fuck happened to my throat, but I've been constantly coughing. So yeah, either way, this is gonna be the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope that I'll see you next time. Bye.